Okay, so in this video, I want to go over all the Pokemon that we have so far that have been revealed for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'll give them a quick little review. There's kind of a lot, so I don't want this video to go too long, but this is going to be a longer video. I've reviewed the starters and some other Pokemon in some of my other videos, which there should be a little icon popping up somewhere, maybe, I don't know, or the link will be in the description if you want to see that video. So let's get started. Grookey, not my favorite starter. Out of 10, I would probably give it a 6. I don't like his weird face. This, whatever this is, not a big fan. I like the idea that he has a stick and the idea that he might be like some sort of drumming gorilla. That's really cool. I'm a drummer myself, so I'm looking forward to seeing his evolution. But Grookey itself, hate Grookey real bad. 6 out of 10. Score Bunny, I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 10. I'm not really into the energetic starters. I could really care less. What did I say? 3 out of 10? Yeah, it's Final Evolution is probably gonna be something fast, fast fire Pokemon. Think like, Infernape or Blaziken or something like that. Most likely probably going to be fighting as well, even though they keep saying, no, they're not going to do it again. I think they're going to do it again, so Score Bunny, I'm probably going to give it a 3 out of 10. Sobble, I'm actually going to give it an 8 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10. His design is a little weird to me, but I love chameleons. I love reptiles, lizards. I also love the water typing. My favorite typing of all time is Dragon, and second to that would be Steel. My favorite Pokemon of all time is Dialga, and second favorite is Tyranitar. That's why he's the mascot, because I really love Tyranitar. But anyway, back to Sobble. I really like the idea of the chameleon, and maybe it'll be water psychic or something like that in its final evolution, or water ghost or something. The ability to turn invisible, maybe it'll have Protean, or maybe a new ability that we don't even know about. But I'm really excited for Sobble, so I'm definitely going to start with Sobble, and then maybe I'm for sure not going to pick Score Bunny, maybe Grookey on my second playthrough, on my second file. Zacian and Zamazenta. I'll start with Zacian, or Zacian, or Zacian, or however you want to call it. But, if we're going off the theory that it's cyan, magenta, and then yellow, and then black, that whole printer color thing, I'm going to say Zacian. We don't know anything about it. We don't know its typing. A lot of the leaks have said that they're going to be steel and then something else. And then one of the leaks said that Zacian's ability makes every move super effective, and Zamazenta's, well, we'll talk about that in Zamazenta. 9 out of 10. The only thing keeping it from 10 out of 10 is all the drapes. I don't like all the drapes, but the dog with the sword in its mouth, awesome. Which is weird because you have to think this sword is like part of its anatomy, right? It's part of the Pokemon, so that's kind of weird, right? It's like we have Farfetch'd, who has an accessory, and several other Pokemon have accessories, but this is actually, I don't know if this is the first legendary. Well, I guess if you count Hoopa, but yeah, legendary with accessories. Hey, that's pretty cool. And if its ability ends up being all of its moves are super effective, awesome. 9 out of 10. Zamazenta, generally the same thing, but I'm going to say 8 out of 10 because I don't like the colors used. Zacian, that sort of pastel-y thing, I think it works more, that's sort of more subdued. This looks like when you turn up the saturation in a photo editing software, right, on something, it just looks out of place. I do like the gold though. I like the gold, but the really intense red and really intense blue, don't really like it. Not a huge fan of those colors so severely mixed together. And then what I was saying earlier about the leak is one of the leaks said that its ability is the opposite of Zacian, where all moves that hit it are not very effective, like regardless of type, which is very, very cool. Doesn't have any accessories, but I like the idea that it's sort of shaped like a shield. But I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because I don't really like the colors. So let's go down to the newly discovered Pokemon. Gossifleur, man, I'm going to go with 3 out of 10. I don't get it. I don't get why you would hide so much of the Pokemon's face back there in the design. They probably could have brought it forward and still kept the flowery thing. I don't, Cotton Down and Regenerator as its ability. It's the flowering Pokemon, I guess. I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with 3 out of 10. Same with Eldegoss, especially if this is an evolved Pokemon. I want it to be a little bit bigger and a little bit different. It's kind of overly simple, with the drawing factor being this cotton ball thing. but that's not exciting. You know, you got this little sesame seed bun on top of this. I mean, we already have Cherim and Cherubi and all these other sort of small Pokemon, but there's not a lot. Like, where are its arms? Where are its legs? I get that it's supposed to float around, but this is basically Sunkern, right? It just looks like a different version of Sunkern. Okay, so I'll give that one a 3 out of 10 as well. Wooloo, it's super basic, it's cute. I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 10. Perfectly in the middle. I hope it evolves, and I hope its evolution keeps Fluffy, because Fluffy, I really like that ability. Super duper cute, fits the region really well. 5 out of 10. Not super exciting, but also not super bad. Corviknight, I don't really like this design, but I can appreciate this design, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think they should have gone with blue. I think this should be more gray or black. That would make it way cooler, but the way that it's like really like vividly blue and it's supposed to be steel, at the same time it doesn't have like a jet aesthetic or a plane aesthetic. It's just sort of a bird, and also the ruffles on its neck are like, is that soft? Because everything else on the body looks like steel plating, right? Looks like armor. But then the ruffles on the neck look like just regular feathers. So is that regular feathers? You know, it looks like it's wearing armor because of the way that the chest and the little knee areas look. I don't get Corviknight. I don't get the whole edgy thing. And its ability, pressure, and unnerve. I get that it's supposed to be this intimidating steel bird thing. It's the Raven Pokemon. But you would think the Raven Pokemon would be darker. But it's blue. It's sort of like Batman. Sometimes his costume is blue and sometimes it's black. Or sometimes it's black and then the little shine accents will be blue, hinting that it's just really dark blue. But this is just straight up blue. And so it's just weird. I don't remember my original rating, maybe 7 out of 10. But I can appreciate the coolness of it. I just don't think it's very cool. But I can see how people think it's very cool. Let's go to Dreadnought. I love reptile Pokemon. I love dinosaurs, reptiles, amphibians, whatever, you know, lizards, stuff like that. I've had several turtles. I'm not too excited about the ability Strong Jaw and Shell Armor. I do not want this to be a single stage evolution or a single, like a standalone Pokemon. I'm pretty sure it is because it has a either Dynamax or Gigantamax form. But I can work with this. However, we already have Titiroga and Caracosta, and this, like, the head kind of reminds me of the Surfbots, this weird sort of, what is that game, Dead Rising costume helmet thing. I like the shell, I like the coloring, I like the idea. I don't like the idea that its head looks sort of mechanical. Everything else looks very rocky and jagged, right? But its body looks, I get that it's water rock, but you could have done more with the rock aesthetic because its body looks very slim and sleek. And its head looks almost robotic with its jaw having even a hinge on the side. And then it's got all these neck rolls. Like, is it fat? Or is that like steel tubing? You know how it has the rivets in it? Is that what that's supposed to be? Because it's clashing with the rock thing. If it was steel rock, that'd be really cool, but it's water. So I would say, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the design choice. But I will say, for this one, maybe 7 out of 10, just because I'm a fan of what this Pokemon is about, not necessarily the design 100%. Let's go on to Alchemy. Apparently, this is an evolved Pokemon, which I am not a huge fan of, because the same thing with Gossifleur and Eldegoss. I want the evolved Pokemon to be more interesting, and they seem to be going with this theme of like, this is a fully evolved Pokemon. Look how boring this is. There are like 4 points of interest on this Pokemon because everything just blends in. It's just whipped cream and the whole thing is sort of like, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of negative space in the design. And I get that it's got, you know, when you look at it, you can see the hair and the little buns and stuff like that. That's cool, but if you just look at it at face value, there's just like a lot of negative space. I don't know, but the different flavors are very interesting. I don't like the ability Sweet Veil. The fact that it's fairy adds another layer of it being interesting, so I'll give this one a 8 out of 10 because I already know about its other form. It's Dynamax or Gigantamax. I can't remember the difference between the two. But its other form, 7.5, 8 out of 10. I'll change Dreadnought to 7.5, 8 out of 10 for the same reason. because their standalone designs I'm not a huge fan of, but their other forms kind of bump it up. Yamper, it's okay. I don't get why they did little diamonds in the eyes, but it's going to be a cute corgi Pokemon, and I know that this Pokemon evolves because of all the leaks and all of the other information and stuff like that. The fact that it's electric is very cool. I like its little lightning bolt tail. That's always cool when they have like little hints of the typing and stuff that tie it to the Pokemon, right? I really like that. And it's also, you know, part of my logo, so that's really cool. So I'll give Yamper, he's a good boy, man. I'll give him a 9 out of 10 because they went with the corgi coloration. It's clearly a corgi. They're sticking with the theme. They wanted to make it electric. And if it evolves into that Greyhound Pokemon, that sort of speed, electric, you know, evolution, that really works. And I like the ability Ball Fetch. That's really cool. It's very clever. Roly-Coly, this is very interesting design because it's sort of asymmetrical. This is like one eye. And I don't know what else it's going to look like, but I'm very excited about the ability Steam Engine. It's rock type, and that's kind of bad. But I'm gonna give this a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10, just because the design seems interesting and I want to see what it turns into. Also, there's 2 layers. So this coal layer and this gray layer are 2 separate things. So it's like sort of segmented. It's got like a little cover over it with the gray, almost like just, you know, regular dust or dirt. And then these sections that stick out, so it actually is wearing like a little shell thing. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm very excited. So 7.5, 8 out of 10. And that's probably going to be a theme with all the Pokemon, because they're not awesome, but they're not very bad. And the designs are just interesting and different. Duraludon, Steel Dragon. I was saying that Dialga is my favorite Pokemon. And man, I don't know. Dragon's my favorite type, and then also Steel. The ability really sucks. Light metal, heavy metal, I could care less. Give it something else. I like the design. I know it's weird, but I like the fact that it's like a rocket ship, right? It looks like a kaiju. We know now that's sort of the theme or one of the themes that they were going for. This looks like a kaiju you would see in a Godzilla movie, right? It looks weird, but it also has 2 legs and 2 arms. And, you know, it looks like a spaceship. It reminds me of Mecha Godzilla. And if this gets a Dynamax or Gigantamax form, I guarantee you this is basically Mecha Godzilla. I'm pretty sure that Duraludon and Tyranitar are opposite version exclusives. I could be wrong. I could very much see the Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla thing happening, but I really like Duraludon. I know it's sort of an unpopular opinion. I like the purple accents with the white. It gives me like a spacey sort of feel, like it's like a space from outer space, right? The purple hinting to dragon, and then the white sort of like this ceramic, like technological thing. I really, really like it. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is because they could have done more with the body. Everything else is sort of fine to me, except for the way that it's just like a triangle shape in general. But again, that gives it that rocket ship feel. But they probably could have done that in a different way. Maybe in a form change, or when it goes into a different move, you can see the rocket ship. Sort of like Garchomp, how it doesn't look like a jet. It looks like a raptor or a dinosaur. But when it like scrunches up like a praying mantis, it looks like a jet, right? I would have loved to see that, but I'll give Duraludon 9 out of 10 because I have a bias. Obstagoon. I think I'm just going to give it a 10 out of 10. I'm really glad that it's here. It's probably going to be really, really good competitively. Dark, normal, that's kind of bad. But if fighting is not a big thing this generation, then, you know, we're good to go. Big fan of Obstagoon. I think they nailed it. 10 out of 10. There's not a lot that I can say. Morpeko, I think, also is another 10 out of 10. I love the Hamtaro aesthetic. I love the switch, the Hunger Switch ability. Every turn it switches. Its move actually changes to the dark type and then to electric type. But it's pure electric dark. Pure electric dark. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, you guys get the point. I like the form change. I like the cuteness mixed with the little anger. I like it. So I'm going to say 10 out of 10 if I didn't already. Cramorant. Boy, I really hate this Pokemon. I feel like it's really simple. It's literally just a cartoon version of a bird that already exists. This reminds me of when people complain about, stuff like the ice creams and the gear Pokemon and stuff like that. I don't really like it. If they would have changed the colors or gave it a pattern or made it different in any way other than just the entire thing is blue and it has this weird green eye. If the eye was yellow and then maybe the head can stay blue and the body is something else, and then so maybe the main body is white and then the chest tuft matches the beak or the eye or some other thing. But to me, this is like a lazy, not really trying generic bird. Like this, I wouldn't even think this was a Pokemon. I think this is like a meme, right? So another flying water type, I don't care. I'm actually personally offended and mad at this Pokemon. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10. I will say that in game, it looks a lot better than on the official artwork. So for that reason, instead of a 1 out of 10, I will give it a 1.2 out of 10. But still 1.2 out of 10. Poltegeist, I think, is another 10 out of 10. On the design, this whole thing is weird to me. I think they could have done something different with the filling in of the little crack thing, right? But I like that the teapot itself actually has a normal design that's separate from the Pokemon that's inside it, right? We have a lot of Pokemon, like, for example, Cubone is wearing the skull of its mother, and then, like, Shell Smash Boy. I can't remember. But anyway, he's got a big Crustle. Dwebble and Crustle. They got stuff on their back, Paris and Parasect. They're very separate from the thing, from their accessory, right? Not like Zacian, where it's the same color scheme and everything. But Poltegeist is its body in general is very separate from the teapot that it inhabits. And so I think that's very interesting. And if I didn't say it already, 10 out of 10. I really like it. And then we have Sirfetch'd. Another 10 out of 10. I wish it wasn't fighting. It's still a bird. I mean, they could have just gave it flying fighting instead of normal flying. Or steel or something. Or grass fighting or something. I don't know. But I get it. It's like a wizened old sage, a hardened old combat seasoned, Farfetch'd. So I totally get it. 10 out of 10. Love the design. I love the way that the shield looks. I love the way that the leak is. See, this is on its own, the Pokemon, if you take away the shield and you take away the lance, it's just a white duck. But even then, it has personality in the face, right? And it looks different in the sense that it's got the little tufts and, I don't know. But when you add this other personality to it, that takes it from being just generic to interesting, and that's what's interesting. And we also have the lore behind it, right? So this, to me, is separate from Cramorant or who cares, stupid blue duck, in the sense that there's more to draw off of, and there's a lot more aspects going on than just a blue water bird, right? So anyway, and even its typing makes it interesting. Galarian Weezing, let's go. I think they nailed it. 10 out of 10. When you look at original Weezing, it's like, oh my god, that's at best a 5. But Galarian Weezing, Poison Fairy, Levitate, and then the Purifying Gas or whatever, awesome. I love that it's a dandy, sort of like an English Industrial Revolution dandy. I like that aesthetic a lot. And man, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. 10 out of 10. I'm going to skip over Galarian, Zigzagoon, and Linoone because they're just great. 10 out of 10. There's nothing more to say, just like Obstagoon. Galarian Ponyta, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10, and here's why. The typing, I think they whiffed the crap out of it on the typing. For sure, should have been Fairy. I think everyone can agree. I think it looks good, but I think if they would have not done the My Little Pony thing by adjusting the dimensions, and kept its anatomy and its design the same as Ponyta, and then just added all this extra stuff, I think it would have been better. That's just my personal opinion. But I think by shrinking the neck, shortening the face, making the eyes bigger, making the ears bigger, making the legs, torso shorter, Actually, the legs look about the same. The front legs are, I guess it's the same, but it has like the little ankle warmers going on there. But the body is shorter and everything else exaggerated and bigger. I think they shouldn't have done that. I think they should have left it the same dimensions as Ponyta and swapped out, you know, the fire for all of this, because this is awesome. This is great. I have no problems with anything else about this except for the type and the fact that they changed everything about the physical, like the physical body of Ponyta. I think they could have left the same. I would have loved to give it a 10 out of 10, but it looks weird because I know what Ponyta looks like, especially right next to it. And not in a good way like Galarian Weezing, in my opinion. So I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10. And then the Gigantamax forms, I already talked about that. I think they're great. I didn't realize that Gigantamax Corviknight has little minions. That's cool. That adds another dimension that makes it really cool, unless those are coming off his wings. But I think this design is what they should have gone with originally instead of saving it for the form. But, you know, whatevs. Gigantamax Dreadnought, way better design. I think they could have gone a step forward and made this an evolution and then have the Gigantamax a different form. But this looks excellent. And the body is completely different, right? It's stubby and it matches the rest of the rock. It's not weird and mechanical looking like the previous version. So I really, really like it. But from face on, I think it'll look a little weird with this horn in the middle of its face, but who cares? I think it's really, really great. And then Alchemy, 10 out of 10. The whole cake thing, awesome. I think this should have been an evolution instead of a form. But you notice that all of the different flavors, because it has different flavors, all of the different flavors are represented along the tiers of the cake, which I thought was an added touch that they didn't have to do, but it makes it so much better, right? All of the different flavors that exist are represented in each tier of the cake, and I think that's really, really, really cool. And that's about it. Guys, if you like this video, make sure to leave it a big thumbs up. Do you agree with me or disagree with me? Let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to keep up to date on all of my newest content drops. You have to turn notifications on and you have to set it to notify me every time. It's 2019. I know that everyone knows this. I'm just explaining it because if you really want to see my content when it comes out, I don't have a lot of subscribers, and that's really the only way to stay up to date on everything that I'm putting out is to turn all of the notifications on for everything for my channel. Anyway, you guys have been great. I have been the Danger Moss, and I will see you next time. Bye!